The hole in the signal. Tess adjusts her headset, the foam cups pressing snug against her ears as she settles into the creaky chair of the radio station's cramped booth. The clock on the wall ticking soft past midnight, its red hands glowing faint in the dim light of the control panel. She's 41, a night shift DJ for a small outfit on the edge of town, a gray brick building squatting low amid sprawling fields, the kind of place where the signal barely reaches the highway. Her voice a lifeline for truckers and insomniacs scattered across the lonely stretch of nowhere. The booth smells of stale coffee and burnt wiring, the air thick with dust that clings to the flickering fluorescent tubes overhead, casting jagged shadows across the desk. The mix stand, the tangle of cables snaking into the console. She flips a switch, the board humming to life, green lights blinking steady as she leans into the mic, her voice smooth and low. Welcome back to the graveyard shift, folks. It's Tess keeping you company till dawn. She cues a track, some twangy country tune, its chords spilling soft through her headset, the night unfolding slow and familiar, just another shift in the endless hum of static and sound. The playlist runs smooth for hours, calls trickling in. A trucker griping about a flat tire 50 miles out, a lonely voice asking for something upbeat, the occasional crackle of interference brushing the edges of her ears. Nothing new, nothing strange, her fingers tapping the desk, coffee cooling in a chipped mug by her side. She glances out the booth's window, a narrow slit of glass overlooking the field, its grass brittle and brown under the weak glow of a single floodlight, the horizon swallowed by a black sky, stars faint and scattered, the wind rattling the frame with a restless whine. The clock hits 2:17 a.m., the song fading out, her voice cutting in. All right, who's out there tonight? Give me a shout, but the line stays silent, no buzz, no click, just a void where the static should be. Her breath catching faint as she adjusts the mic, checks the board, everything green, everything live. Then it comes, a sound, low and jagged, spilling through her headset, not static, not a voice, but a gash in the signal, a skittering screech like metal scraping glass, sharp and cold, slicing through the quiet, her chest tightening as it peaks. Then drops, a deep silence pressing heavy, unnatural wrong. She blinks hard, shakes her head, mutters, "What the hell?" Her voice trembling faint as she taps the console, resets the line, the green light steady, unyielding, but the silence holds, a weight in her ears, her skull, the booth colder, the air thicker, her breath, fogging soft in the dim light. She cues another track, fingers fumbling, the song starting slow, guitar strumming faint, but the silence breaks, a new sound curling through, a low, pulsing gull, not from the speakers, not from the board, but deeper under the floor under the earth, a vibration she feels in her bones, her teeth, a rumble like something massive shifting far below, breathing slow and steady, alive in the dark. She yanks the headset off, the sound fading, her ears ringing sharp, heart thudding loud as she stares at the mic, the window, the field outside, still and empty, the floodlight flickering faint, casting shadows that twist, stretch, longer than they should, the gull gone, but its echo lingering, a hum she can't unfeel. She leans into the mic, forces a laugh, voice shaky. "Well, folks, looks like the night's playing tricks. Who's got me tonight?" But the lines stay dead, no calls, no buzz, just the hum returning, softer, threading through her headset as she slips it back on, the gull, pulsing faint, a rhythm she can't place, her name whispered low within it, Tess. She freezes, breath shallow, heart slamming against her ribs, her fingers trembling as she checks the caller ID, blank, no number, no log, the system clean. But the sound grows, a shush now, like sand shifting underfoot, thousands of steps crunching. Faint, coming from below, the booth steady, the field still, but the hum deeper, sharper, pressing her chest, her skull, her name clear. Tess, listen. She rips the headset off again, stumbles to her feet, the chair scraping loud against the floor, her coffee spilling cold across the desk, the mug rolling slow, stopping at the edge, the hum fading, silence swallowing the room, her breath ragged, fogging thick in the chill. She steps out, the hallway dark, colleagues slumped asleep at their desks, heads buried in folded arms, the faint glow of monitors casting blue across their still forms, the coffee machine gurgling soft in the break room, its steam curling up to fog the glass, her boots echoing loud on the linoleum as she pours a cup, hands shaking, the liquid bitter, metallic, stinging her tongue as she gulps it down. the hum gone, the night steady, her mind racing, telling herself it's fatigue. Bad wiring, a glitch in the gear. She splashes water on her face in the bathroom, the sink cold under her palms, stares at the mirror, her reflection pale, eyes bloodshot, skin tight, but fine, normal, her breath steadying as she wipes her hands, the towel rough against her fingers. A faint itch prickling her neck, her knuckles, skin red and dry, cracking faint at the edges, sand dusting the creases, gray and fine, though she hasn't touched dirt, hasn't been outside, her stomach twisting cold as she brushes it off, watches it scatter across the tile, the hum whispering faint, Tess. Morning comes gray and sluggish, sunlight weak through the station's windows, the shift ending slow as Tess clocks out, her headset dangling loose on the desk, the console dark, colleagues stretching awake, yawning loud, their voices cutting through the quiet. Rough night, huh? She nods, forces a smile, her throat scratchy, voice hoarse. Yeah, gears acting up, but Pete, the sound tech, leans over, squints. You dropped out, Tess. Hour of dead air, just noise, sounded like gravel or something. Her chest locks, breath catching, heart thudding slow as she stares at him, his face blank, unconcerned, her voice trembling. I was on, Pete, whole time, talking, playing tracks. He shrugs, pulls the log, shows her blank. After 2:17 a.m. just static, a low gull pulsing faint through the playback, no music, no voice, just that sound, deep and alive. Her name threading through, Tess, soft but clear, her hands shaking as she grabs her bag, stumbles out, the field still under the dawn, the earth steady, but her skin itching, sand under her nails, gritty and dry, a weight she can't explain. She drives home, a small house 10 miles out, gravel crunching under her tires. The field stretching wide and brown around her, the sky heavy with clouds, her radio off, windows up, the hum gone, silence pressing heavy as she pulls in, drops her keys on the counter, their clink loud in the quiet, the air stale, thick with a faint dampness she doesn't remember. She brews coffee, the machine gurgling loud, steam fogging the glass, her hands steadying as she sips, the taste flat, gritty, sand dusting the rim, though she washed it, her throat itching sharper, a cough breaking loose, dry and rough, gray, flecks speckling her palm, not spit, not phlegm, but sand, fine and dry, her stomach lurching cold as she wipes it away, the hum whispering faint, listen deeper. She checks her phone, pulls the shift, recording, her voice there, smooth and low, then gone, the gull swallowing it, shush of steps crunching through, thousands of feet moving under the earth, her name sharp, Tess, the sound alive, threading through her skull, her chest, her fear. Night falls, the shift pulling her back, the station looming dark against the field, the floodlight flickering faint, casting shadows that twist, stretch, longer than they should, the booth cold as she settles in, headset snug against her ears, the console humming to life, green lights blinking steady, her voice cutting in, back with you, night owls, let's roll. But the hum returns, low and pulsing, threading through her words, the signal trembling, the gull, deeper, sharper, a vibration she feels in her bones, her teeth, her name clear, Tess, listen. She cues a track, fingers fumbling, the song starting slow, guitar strumming faint, but the gull swallows it, shush of steps crunching loud, sand shifting underfoot, coming from below, the booth steady, the field still, but the sound alive, pressing her chest, her skull, her breath fogging thick in the chill. She checks the window, the field dark, the earth trembling faint, a hairline crack splitting the dirt, thin and jagged, the gull sinking, pulsing hard, her skin itching sharper, sand dusting her knuckles, her neck, gray and dry, though she hasn't touched it, hasn't moved, her cough breaking loose, rough and wet, gray flecks speckling the desk, the hum whispering, deeper. She yanks the headset off, stumbles to the break room, colleagues asleep, their snores soft in the quiet, the coffee machine gurgling loud, steam curling up, her hands shaking as she pours, the liquid bitter, gritty, sand dusting the rim, her throat scratching, cough racking her chest, gray and wet, speckling her palm, the hum following, threading through the vents, the walls, the floor, her name sharp, Tess, listen deeper. She runs to the bathroom, splashes water on her face, the cold shock sharp, stares at the mirror, her reflection pale, eyes muzzy, sand trickling faint from the corners, smearing gray as she wipes it, her skin cracking, dry and rough sand under her nails, in her hair, gritty on her tongue, the glass fogging slow, not her breath, faster, sharper, a shadow flickering faint behind her, tall and jagged, then gone, her scream caught as she spins, finds nothing, just the empty room, the hum. A rumble now, pulsing through her skull, her chest, her fear. She calls Pete, voice trembling, check the gear, something's wrong, but he yawns, shuffles in, squints at the console, looks fine, signals clean, pulls the log, shows her, blink again, just gull, shush of steps, crunching, loud, her voice gone, swallowed, the sound alive, threading through, Tess. He shrugs, mutters, maybe the tower's picking up junk, low frequencies, not ours, but the gull grows, shush sharper, hushing like bones underfoot, the floor trembling faint, a crack splitting the tile, thin and jagged, the field outside shuddering. Dirt shifting slow, the floodlight flickering, shadows twisting, stretching, the hum sinking, pulsing hard, her cough racking, gray and wet, sand speckling the desk, her hands, her shirt, the air thick, damp, her breath fogging, not hers, faster, sharper, the hum whispering, listen deeper. She stumbles out, drives home, the radio in her car crackling, gull spilling through, shush of steps, crunching loud, her name clear, Tess, sand dusting the wheel, her eyes, her throat, gritty and dry, a weight she can't shake, days blur into a fragile routine, Tess avoiding the booth, calling in sick, her voice hoarse over the phone, Pete's concern crackling through. You sound like hell, what's up? She mutters, flu, I'll be back, hangs up, stays home, the house quiet, the field still, the gull softer, a background drone she pushes down, her hands steadying as she brews coffee, the taste gritty, sand dusting the mug, her cough racking, gray and wet, speckling the sink, her skin cracking, dry and rough, sand trickling faint from her eyes, her hair, her nails, the hum whispering, deeper. She checks the mirror, her reflection pale, eyes muzzy, sand smearing gray, her breath fogging slow, not hers, faster, sharper, a shadow flickering faint, then gone, the gull growing, shush of steps crunching loud, the floor trembling faint, a crack splitting the wood, thin and jagged, the air thick, damp, her chest tightening, the sound alive, threading through her skull, her fear. She drives to town, a tech shop downtown, a cluttered hole in the wall, gears and wires piled high. The air thick with dust and oil as she hands her headset to a guy named Ray, his voice gruff. What's the problem? She explains, voice trembling, catches weird noise, low, deep. He plugs it in, listens, squints, signals clean, but something's there. Low frequencies, not ours, sounds like ground hum, seismic maybe, hands it back, get a new one, this is junk. She leaves, headset warm in her hands, the gull louder, shush sharper, hushing like bones, the car trembling faint, a crack splitting the dash, thin and jagged, sand dusting the seats, her eyes, her throat, the hum whispering, listen, deeper. She gets home, locks the door, the house cold, the air damp, the gull pulsing through the walls, the floor, the sink, shush of steps crunching loud, her cough racking, gray and wet, speckling the counter, her hands shaking, sand trickling faint, the mirror fogging slow, a shadow flickering, taller, jagged then gone, the hum a rumble, alive in her skull, her chest, her fear. She quits, voice hoarse over the phone, Pete's protest crackling through. You sure, Tess? We need you. But she hangs up, packs a bag, drives north, a village hours away, fields giving way to trees, the sky clear, the air fresh, her cough racking, gray and wet, sand speckling the wheel, the gull softer, a whisper she carries, the house new, quiet, the hum fading, silence pressing heavy as she unpacks, the floor steady, the earth still, her breath fogging faint, not hers, faster, sharper, the mirror fogging slow, a shadow flickering then gone, the gull returning, shush of steps crunching loud, the air thick, damp, her chest tightening, sand trickling from her eyes, her hair, her nails, the hum whispering, listen deeper. She walks outside, the village, quiet, the ground trembling faint, a crack splitting the dirt, thin and jagged, the gull sinking, pulsing hard, her cough racking, gray and wet, speckling the grass, the sound alive, threading through her skull, her chest, her fear. Weeks pass. Tess alive, working a desk job, filing papers in a small office, the gull softer, a background drone she buries under routine, coffee breaks, small talk with coworkers who don't ask, her hands steady, sand dusting the keys, her cough racking, gray and wet, speckling the desk, her skin cracking, dry and rough, the hum whispering, deeper. She walks home, the village quiet, the ground trembling, faint, cracks splitting the pavement, thin and jagged, the gull growing, shush of steps crunching loud, sand trickling from her eyes, her hair, her nails, the air thick, damp, her chest tightening, the sound alive, threading through her skull, her fear. She stands at the window, stares at the street, the ground shuddering, a crack splitting wide, the gull sinking, pulsing hard, her cough racking, gray and wet, speckling the glass, the hum whispering, listen deeper, the mirror fogging slow. A shadow flickering, taller, jagged, closer, the sound alive, threading through her skull, her chest, her breath, not hers, faster, sharper, the earth trembling, shush of steps crunching loud, hushing like bones, the village swaying. Her hands shaking, sand trickling faint, the hum a rumble, alive waiting. She lives, walks, eats, the gull constant, shush of steps crunching loud, sand trickling from her eyes, her hair, her nails, her cough racking, gray and wet, speckling. The floor, the air thick, damp, her chest tightening, the sound alive, threading through her skull, her chest, her fear. She knows, it's not her they want, not her they take, but through her they come. The gull deeper, sharper, the earth trembling, cracks splitting wide, the hum whispering, listen, her breath fogging faint, not hers, faster, sharper, the mirror fogging slow, a shadow flickering, taller, jagged, closer, the sound alive, threading through her skull, her chest, her breath, the village swaying, the ground shuddering, shush of steps crunching loud, hushing like bones, sand trickling from her eyes, her hair, her nails, her cough racking, gray and wet, speckling the glass, the hum a rumble, alive, waiting, her hands shaking, the earth trembling, the sound threading through, deeper, sharper, alive. One day she stands outside, the sky clear, the ground shuddering, a crack splitting wide, the gull sinking, pulsing hard, her cough racking, gray and wet, speckling the dirt, sand trickling from her eyes. Her hair, her nails, the hum whispering, listen deeper, the mirror fogging slow, a shadow flickering, taller, jagged, closer, the sound alive, threading through her skull, her chest, her breath, the village swaying, shush of steps crunching, loud, hushing like bones, the air thick, damp, her chest tightening, the hum a rumble, alive, waiting. She coughs, gray and wet, speckling the ground, the hum, whispering, you're first. The earth trembling, cracks splitting wide, shush of steps crunching loud, hushing like bones, sand trickling from her eyes, her hair, her nails, her breath, fogging faint, not hers, faster, sharper, the sound alive, threading through her skull, her chest, her fear, the village swaying, the ground shuddering, the hum a rumble, alive, waiting, her hands shaking, sand trickling faint, the earth trembling. The sound threading through, deeper, sharper, alive, her cough racking, gray and wet, speckling the dirt, the hum, whispering, listen, the ground shuddering, shush of steps crunching loud, hushing like bones, the village swaying, her hands shaking, sand trickling faint, the earth trembling, the sound alive, threading through, her skull, her chest, her breath, deeper, sharper, waiting. Epilogue. A trucker flips his radio on, miles away, the signal crackling, gull spilling through, shush of steps crunching loud, hushing like bones, a voice cutting in, Tess's voice, smooth and low, listen deeper, sand dusting his dash, the ground trembling, faint, a crack splitting the road, thin and jagged, the hum alive, threading through, deeper, sharper, waiting.